Hello everybody, you're very welcome to today's members interview. Delighted to be joined by Barry O'Loughlin, the MD of Nostra. You're very welcome today, Barry. Thanks for
Thanks,
joining
Barry.
us. Barry is a Laois man, I'm sure many of you know him. So Barry, would you give us a bit of background to Nostra and how you got started and where you are at the moment with the business?
Yeah, so Nostra is an MSP, which is a managed service provider. We're an outsourced IT department for any particular type of business where we can provide from up to 1 hour a week to many dedicated resources on site, where we literally look after all the IT infrastructure in the business. Set up in 2006, my brother Kevin was the original founder with Gary Byrne and Senan Finucane, and we have started in Rathcoole. We've been in Lucan since 2013 via 2 or 3 years in Sandyford, and we now have a team of about 130 people with offices in Lucan, Dublin City Centre, and then we have regional offices in County Laois and in County Galway. And ultimately we set up as a technology business focusing on the cloud, and when cloud wasn't a buzzword in Ireland, we were trucking away in the background trying to build it, and it was slow, and it was a slow business. And it was only really in 2014, 15 that we started to get a bit of traction on what we were trying to do. And since then, we've grown from, as I say, 20 staff to 130, and we follow our Irish clients globally. So we manage Irish clients in UK, in the Benelux region, Poland, Germany, North America, South Africa, Australia, and that can be a combination of our guys flying over or having feet on the ground there through partnerships, and then some full-time employees for us as well who are based internationally. So that's ultimately what we do.
Okay, so you mentioned earlier COVID has been a mixed bag for your business, in terms of initially there was the kind of the panic to get people set up remotely, and then it kind of tapered out and things started shutting down. And
yeah, there's no doubt the middle of March, I think it was a shock for everybody, and we were no different. So there was a big scramble for our customers to ultimately get VPN set up so they could work remotely. And then obviously we had to redeploy our own team remotely as well. So our business was built in such a way that we could do it. So ultimately everybody could plug out here one day, go home, plug in at home, and no real impact from that point of view. So that was something positive. But then there was a rush on hardware, there was a rush on laptops, and we couldn't source them. So with a lot of pressure from people, and the supply chain dried up, and all of a sudden it became very changeable on a daily basis. So you're having to take a position on stock. It may or may not come in, and ultimately we had a lot of customers who didn't know what was going to happen tomorrow. And at that point, Leo was doing very regular announcements, and ultimately all we did was we tried to react to the advice as and when it came, and that was the way we approached it. It was, you know, what was decided today, if it had to change tomorrow, we would change it. We would be reactive, and we would work to the advice of the government, and that model worked really well for us. So,
and in terms of government supports, did you avail of the temporary wage for some of your staff?
So it was a funny one for us. So like we do a lot in financial services, and that sort of maintained its traction. But our retail, our hospitality, our manufacturing customers closed very quickly, and all of a sudden we had, you know, nearly 20%, 25% of our workforce with nothing to do. So we did claim the COVID subsidy for a couple of months for about 30% of our workforce. We didn't do that in June, and we also engaged with Enterprise Ireland because we wanted to, you know, it takes time to build a team for the skill set we have, so we wanted to retain everybody. So with EI on board, we undertook 2 research projects, one on operating remote work as an IT support service, and 2 looking at Azure as a service and how we would roll that out. So any spare capacity we've had over the last couple of months, we've been putting into those research projects, and they're ongoing and will continue to the end of September. but they've been good because obviously the guys are learning, and it's some support from the eye as well for us towards the bottom line, which has been somewhat useful.
And how have you found management of cash flow? Has that been a challenge, or on top of that, I'm sure?
So it's always a challenge, but we take it very, very seriously. So, like for me, it's always stick to the basics. One of the first things we did was we put an extra resource on cash management. We have one full-time resource on it, and we put an extra resource on it for about 25 hours a week. And ultimately, we went into a full engagement model with our customers, so that at the first sight of a problem with them, we were engaged with them, we were working with them, and we always knew where we stood. So we were able to model out our cash flow for sort of the 6 weeks at a time. So that worked really well, and that extra resource was a good thing to do. We also then engaged with our financial partners and made sure that we had the facilities in place that if we needed them, we would be able to draw them down. So that was beneficial as well. So they are there, but ultimately, the key thing for us on cash was engage with the customers, make sure that they communicate with us, and if they are under pressure, not to make the pressure any worse for them. So, and that's always been our model, and they do respect that. So there's a time for building partnerships, and that's what we do.
Communication can go such a long way, really, rather than kind of a silent treatment. So in terms of opportunities during COVID, have you seen anything kind of that stands out that you're kind of going to chase?
So yes, lots of opportunity for us, and I break it down into 3 categories for you: our team, our customers, and acquisition. So one thing we always talk about and focus on, but probably don't execute as well as we could, is training of our team internally. So we've used any capacity we've had internally to get our team on training courses at every level, be that at management for leadership development or at an IT level where they're brushing up on their skills. So that has been good, and our view is, and as we work on budgets for next year, we've looked at increasing our training spend, because the reality is that we're only as good as our people, so we need them to be as highly skilled as possible. So that's been really good. Customers was an interesting one, because obviously we had customers who closed, and they're under contract with us. So anywhere they needed flexibility, we gave it to them. But then we had customers who didn't have the infrastructure they need. Sorry, they weren't customers at the time, but they didn't have the infrastructure they needed. And they contacted us based on recommendations from our customers to say, listen, this is what we do. These are our challenges. And out of that, we won 3 significant enough customers in May and June on the back of the challenges they face in COVID with their current infrastructure. The third one then was we had been in negotiations to do an acquisition with a company called Brandon Consulting, and they had sort of fallen by the wayside last October, and as a result of COVID, their circumstances changed, and they decided they wanted to sell, and we re-engaged in early March. We got a deal done in early April, and we closed it on the 1st of July, which is a very strategic acquisition for us. Gives us an office in Dublin City Centre, gives us an office in Galway, gives us 24 new staff, but also gives us a security division, which we didn't have already. We did some security, but we weren't a specialist security company. We've now strategically bought a specialist company, which will remain fully independent, and their business is IT security. So that's a really, really good complementary business for us to add on to ours. So that's been a very, very good. And the beauty of that was Bank of Ireland funded it, which was great, because if that had happened earlier, we might have went with one of the less mainline funders, which would have cost us much more money on interest rates. But actually, when we got down to it, and Bank of Ireland managed Brandon already, we are obviously a long-standing customer of Bank of Ireland. And when they looked at the numbers, they liked it. And to me, that's as big a a testament you can get to the deal that one of the pillar banks was supported at a time when, there's not much lending going on.
It's great to hear about opportunities that have come about as a result of COVID. So in terms of Laois as a base for your business, I know you have a presence in Laois at the moment.
Yeah, and I'm very proud to have it and fully intend to grow it out. We manage customers all over Ireland, and a lot of that management is done without leaving the desk, and then some of it is done on the road. So what has been great for us is we've got some really good people to join our team in Laois. Some of them are on the road, some are based in the office of Mount and we wouldn't have got them because they wouldn't have been attracted to work in our office in Lucan. So that's been brilliant. And I think the model within COVID has helped us sort of refocus on how we're going to move forward. Like our office in Dublin is 10,000 square feet. We had 80 odd desks here pre-COVID. We've retired 2 out of 4 of them. The rest of the team come in on a 3-week rota, week on, week off, so that there's only about 15 to 20 people in the office at any one time. And that model works. But the reality is that, our objective and our plans long term would be to grow by 20% a year for the next 5 years, which brings us to about 300 people. And there's absolutely no reason why there can't be a good bulk of those jobs based in Laois. Yeah. And it's a great location. We service a lot of Munster. Laois is only 45 minutes from Limerick. So that's really positive for us.
No, it is. I mean, we are promoting Laois as the centre of Ireland to do business really since the Chamber launch. So I think that message is getting out there. So in terms of the future, you're optimistic, I'm assuming? Plenty of plans.
Very optimistic. I would be cautiously optimistic, and who knows what the future holds. But for me, we would manage the business very tightly. We would keep an eye on advice. We communicate with our team and our customers on a continuous basis. That started on lockdown, where we had a daily email every day and a daily conference call every day with everybody on it. That now is reduced back to a weekly conference call, but it's something we didn't have prior to COVID. And my view, and Kevin and the guys would share the same, is that we must be conservatively confident and very much not shy away from the opportunity or the challenge, and we take it as it comes. But who knows? But certainly at the moment, our view is shoulder to the wheel and drive on.
Yeah, it's great to kind of hear that from a company like yourselves, and with your plans to grow, even though you're saying it's with caution, but still at the same time you're planning to do that. So it was really great to hear your story, and Nostra is a great Laois-based company, growing strongly, and hopefully we'll get to meet at an event in the near future, and you can share your story with the wider audience. But hopefully lots of people are tuning into these interviews, so it's great to showcase a company like yourselves today, and thanks very much for taking the time, Barry, to talk to us.
Thank you, and keep up the good work. It's been very refreshing as a Laois man living in Dublin to follow the re-emergence of the Laois Chamber, so well done.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Super. Thanks, Barry.